The Slumber Party Massacre franchise revolves around groups of beautiful girls trying to enjoy their slumber parties, only to be targeted by a psychotic serial killer with a drill. Their boyfriends often try to spy on the party or prank them by attempting to scare them and later joining them. Plot depth isn't the priority in these slasher films. Instead, the movies lean on tropes like women running around half-naked, often including softcore scenes, before being brutally killed by a drill-wielding maniac. The action typically takes place within the house where the party is held, giving the films a home invasion slasher vibe. While many of the kills occur off-screen, there are still some gory moments that fans of the genre might appreciate. If you're looking for a slasher films that follow this formula, the Slumber Party Massacre series might be worth a watch. The following are my reviews of each film in the franchise. The Slumber Party Massacre delivers exactly what its title promises: a slasher film centered around a group of girls enjoying a private slumber party that turns into a night of terror. Directed by Amy Holden Jones, the movie follows a straightforward premise. A psychotic serial killer, freshly escaped from custody, stalks and murders his victims using a power drill. We have a serial killer on the loose, stalking and killing people one by one. The drill is his weapon of choice. The actor who played the killer did a great job portraying a psychotic character. He effectively embodies a menacing, psychotic presence that adds to the film's suspense. Although the killings don't show much on screen, the idea of the kills and the aftermath are presented. There are a few scenes that clearly show the drill going straight into the chest, but those moments are rare. While the effects are nothing groundbreaking, they hold up decently for an early 80s slasher. The film is directed by a woman, but there is still some nudity. I don't have a problem with the group of friends, and their chemistry feels believable. Another positive for me is that the atmosphere is really chilly. The real tension begins when the girls are having their party at night. During the party, one of them hears a trash can being knocked over, so she goes to check it out. The outside is very dark, and as the audience, we know the killer is stalking them. The thought that he could be hiding anywhere, in the shadows or somewhere nearby, creates a strong sense of dread. The story is a slow burn, taking its time to build tension, supported by a strong, creepy soundtrack. The downside is that the plot doesn't feel very refreshing. In fact, it reminds me of other slasher films. The story is straightforward. A psycho killer on the loose trying to harm the girls. The comedy element comes from the build-ups in the girls' conversations. However, it doesn't interfere with the overall horror aspect. The intentional comedic moments may come from the girls' earlier conversations during the build-up, but casual viewers might not even notice unintentional comedy moments. Without spoiling much, there's a scene where the killer hides a body in the refrigerator. If you look closely, you can see the dead girl holding on to something to keep herself from falling out. The characters who open the refrigerator don't notice the body because they're too busy talking. It's clear the director wanted to build suspense in this scene. Additionally, the movie employs a few red herrings, moments where the tension builds only for the reveal to be something harmless, like a friend instead of the killer. Courtney Bates, one of the survivors of the first film, and her friends head to a condo for a weekend slumber party. However, a supernatural rock star with a drill is waiting to kill them all. Firstly, the plot is really terrible. Courtney is haunted by nightmares about the incident she survived years ago. In her dreams, she is constantly terrified and hunted by a rock star wielding a guitar with a drill at one end. She has visions and struggles to sleep peacefully, seeing things no one else can. Her mother tells her it's perfectly normal after experiencing such a traumatic event. She even suggests Courtney see a psychiatrist, but Courtney refuses, wanting to spend time with her friends instead. Her mother reluctantly agrees. The first few minutes are typical. We see the girls having fun. They are also a rock band of their own. Meanwhile, Courtney continues to see things that her friends cannot, which leads them to think she needs help. Then out of nowhere, the rock star killer she's been seeing suddenly comes to life, and now her friends can see him too. This part reminds me of the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise. Speaking of the rock star killer, his existence as a supernatural villain comes completely out of nowhere. The first film established a psychotic serial killer who was just a regular person. This sequel makes no effort to connect to the original, other than the shared use of a drill as a weapon. Now the killer has become a supernatural entity, But why? How? The film doesn't care to explain any of this. The rock star killer is nowhere near creepy. Instead, he sings, dances, and performs rock and roll numbers while killing. Who is this killer? Why is he killing? Is it all happening inside Courtney's head? Is it real? These are just some of the many unanswered questions. This is a film that gets progressively worse as it goes on. You can forget about being scared. You'll be too distracted by trying to make sense of the plot. Slumber Party Massacre. 2 takes a bizarre turn from its predecessor, abandoning any semblance of logic or coherence. Courtney Bates, one of the survivors from the original film, finds herself tormented by nightmares of a rock star wielding a guitar drill hybrid. What begins as psychological trauma quickly spirals into an inexplicable, supernatural horror comedy. A group of girls are enjoying a volleyball game on the beach. As expected, the girls decide to have a slumber party while one of their parents is away. However, the fun quickly turns deadly as the group encounters a series of killings. The killer's identity remains hidden for most of the film. Towards the end, the movie attempts to explain his motives, though the reveal and reasoning behind the killings are far from shocking. The film also introduces a few lists of suspects, including a creepy guy stalking them at the beach and a neighbor spying on them with a telescope. While these suspects add some intrigue, the eventual reveal falls flat. The atmosphere is not particularly scary, as most of the killings happen off-screen. Typical for this kind of slasher film, the action and writing also leave much to be desired. There are several moments where the girls have clear opportunities to escape or fight back, but they fail to capitalize on them, dragging the film unnecessarily. As the final installment in the trilogy, Slumber Party Massacre 3 doesn't match the tension or suspense of the first film, but it is noticeably better than the second. A remake of the 1982 film, this version follows a group of girls who are attacked by a maniac killer wielding a large drill during their slumber party at a remote cabin. The film begins in the 1990s, showing a group of 4 girls having a slumber party at a cabin. They are attacked by a killer, and only one survivor manages to stop him before escaping. The story shifts to the present day, where the survivor has grown up to become an overly strict mother, protective of her daughter, Dana. Against her mother's wishes, Dana and her friends decide to go to a cabin in the middle of nowhere for their slumber party. The remote setting adds to the tension, pulling viewers away from civilization. The killer, Russ Thorne, stays true to his original portrayal, with his wide-eyed look and creepy lines like, "You're pretty," making him feel reminiscent of the original film. The effects of the killings are creepy and well done, going full R-rated with bloody violence. The film does its best to recreate the unsettling tone of the original. It uses familiar tactics, like building suspense only to reveal something harmless, such as a friend. However, the atmosphere is effective. A key difference is that the girls are fully aware of the killer's history and have intentionally gone to the cabin to stop him once and for all. While they've prepared for this, they're still ordinary people, so don't expect flawless execution. There are several dumb decisions, including some of the most avoidable deaths. One notable scene involves the killer using a nail gun to attack, and while one girl dodges the nails, she later foolishly looks out the window and pays the price. The film does have a twist, though it's not groundbreaking. It tries to expand the story in its own way, which is a positive. The killer's weapon of choice, a long drill, and his obsession with beautiful girls coupled with lines like, "You're pretty, I love you," and "It takes a lot of love for a person to do this," feel like a metaphor for sexual assault and predatory behavior. Interestingly, when the drill is destroyed, the killer appears to lose his confidence and control, further emphasizing this theme. One standout scene features a boy, an ex of one of the girls, spying on the slumber party and touching himself. He notices the killer peeking at the girls from the other side and calls him a damn pervert, despite his own actions. Another scene flips the gender dynamic, showing a group of boys having their own slumber party, dancing shirtless and tearing up pillows. The girls watching them through a window joke, "Is this what guys do when they're alone?" The film clearly knows what it's doing, likely addressing criticism of the earlier movies for how they portrayed women, poking fun at gender dynamics and subverting expectations. The film includes a few Easter eggs and references to the original trilogy. However, the usual issues of weak storylines and underdeveloped characters persist. With too many characters to keep track of, this film isn't one that will stick with you for long. It's not bad, but it's not particularly good either.